like to speak on an item on the agenda? I'm going to open the floor. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment section. Next part of the meeting, I want to ask for an approval of the minutes. Commissioners, there's a copy of the minutes on the agenda. Can I get a motion? Mr. Freeman, Mr. Guillory seconds. Any opposed? Minutes are passed. Next section is the consent calendar. Do any commissioners see anything on the consent calendar they would like to remove? If not, can I get a motion on the consent? Mr. Guillory moves. Mr. Sam seconds. Any opposed? Consent calendar passes. Okay, now, are y'all queued up? Are you ready?
Firecast.
We run the BREC video. Thank you.
Bluebonnet Swamp hosts a Walk with the Birds, November 3rd from 7 to 9 a.m. Led by a member of the Baton Rouge Audubon Society, visitors enjoy a morning hike through the forest and swamp while identifying various bird species. Birdwatching techniques and identification tips also discussed. Beginners are welcome. Field guides and binoculars optional but recommended. For more information on birding and the Bluebonnet Bird Monitoring Project, visit braudubon.org. General admission fees apply and pass holders are free. Paddle Up returns on Saturday, November 10th at 8:30 a.m. In Paddle Up 4, participants will enjoy a 3-hour adventure down the scenic Boca Chica River north of Covington, Louisiana. Interested participants who have completed Paddle Up 1, 2, and 3 can register. The fee is $15 per person, and the trip is limited to 10 participants, ages 12 and older. To register, call 620-0500. BREC's Webb Memorial Golf Course is hosting the Ladies Fall Classic Tournament on November 10th and 11th. The format is a 36-hole, 2-player scramble with an 8:30 a.m. shotgun start each day. The entry is $50 per player, which includes 2 tournament rounds with cart, tournament prizes, and lunch served after Saturday's first round. The deadline to register is November 7th or until the field is full. For more information, contact the Webb Memorial Pro Shop at 383-4919. Come out and enjoy fellowship, great entertainment, and a free holiday meal with all the trimmings at BREC's Anna T. Jordan Community Park. This annual Thanksgiving dinner will be held on November 14th at 10 a.m. Call 775-1707 for more information. BREC's Quick Start Tennis Tournament will be held at the Independence Tennis Center on November 16th from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Children ages 5 to 10 will complete in a single round robin format tournament with separate boys and girls age divisions. The event includes free pizza, awards, and prizes for players. The registration deadline is Tuesday, November 13th. For more information, call 923-2792. Visit us online at brec.org/tennis or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/brectennis. Have an evening of family fun that can be shared over and over again throughout the holiday season. Create a gingerbread masterpiece with lots of graham crackers, icing, and candy to design a unique gingerbread house. Visit either North Sherwood Forest Park on November 16th from 5 to 7 p.m. or Antioch Park on November 30th from 5 to 7 p.m. All children must be accompanied by an adult, and the fee is $8 per person. Call North Sherwood at 275-0568 or Antioch at 752-8316 for more information. Zoo Lights is back beginning on November 23rd. Visitors will enjoy the lights and displays of all our favorite zoo animals and holiday traditions. Walk through the zoo and be amazed by larger-than-life light displays. The lights will be on from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. and are separate charge from regular zoo admission. For more information, call 775-3877. Pack your bags! BREC's Adult Leisure Department is hitting the road for the Nashville Christmas Tour. Registration is currently underway for this 3-day adventure, December 5th through 7th. The tour includes 2 nights at the Drury Inn, daily breakfast, the Radio City Christmas Spectacular, Gaylord Opryland's Ice, Treasures of the Holidays Arts and Crafts Fair, Opry Mill Mall, Unwrap the Songs of Christmas Dinner Show, and round-trip transportation. Call 926-4659 for more information. Visit us at brec.org, then like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and watch us on YouTube for more information and events. And remember, it all starts at BREC.
Thank you for the video. There was a few absences last meeting, I realize, and Mr. Selders, I understand you ran the meeting. I wanted to tell you I appreciate it and ask you if you would please stand up and let us recognize you for running the meeting, and more importantly, I want to read that shirt. Oh. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. McKnight, we can move on. Superintendent's report.
Okay, we have two administrative matters. The first one is to notify you of the change of the date for the November commission meeting. It will be Wednesday, November 14th, instead of November 29th this coming month. So you have to move to approve the change of the date.
I move that we change the date.
Mr. Sam and Ms. Jackson. Any opposed to changing the date? November commission meeting, it will be on the 14th.
And the second item is to seek your approval to allow for a one-day special event permit to serve alcohol at the BREC's holiday Christmas party in the ballroom here at Florida Boulevard.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Sam, Mr. Freeman seconds. Any opposed? Passes.
Under communications, we have one award that we received back in the month of September. I'd like to bring to your attention. It was an award from the Louisiana Center for Health Equity. And this is an organization here in Baton Rouge responsible for has a main interest in health equity for people in very low income areas as well as where there is a lack of quality health care. And because of BREC's participation and partnership, they have given us an award, and I'd like to have Dale Auzenne to come and accept this award on behalf of BREC for the Light Up the Night for the Brighter Future Gala. Thank you, Dale, and your team. Okay. The other piece of communication that I'd like to remind you, and I didn't see it on the BREC video, we have the Kaboom Playground Build Day set now for November 9th. We have been working as a team, this entire organization working together to make sure that we are able to have a very successful event. We'll have over 200 volunteers at the event, and it starts for the volunteers at 8 o'clock in the morning of November 9th. And I would really like to see commissioners' participation if you could all come out, and we'll have media coverage, and it will be a very, very exciting time for BREC and for the community over at Flannery Road. So thank you for if you can make it, if you can, that would be wonderful.
Send us an email.
We'll send you more information on that, and I take this opportunity also to thank the entire BREC team. They have worked together as a very successful group, and I am so pleased with all of the efforts that they've put into making sure that this project happens. So thank you guys so much for your help. That completes my report.
Thank you, Ms. McKnight. Standing committee reports. The first one up is Communications and Information Technology. Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We just have information items, but I was going to see if Mr. Knight and Ms. Michelet would come up and just talk a little bit, two exciting new kind of developments, and so I wanted to let you know about both of them. So, Mr. Knight.
Great, thank you.
Greetings. I'll be real quick. The IT department, I came on maybe 2 months ago. We've been doing a lot of things, sort of reorganizing our department, sort of implementing a few efficiencies, fixing a few things. The first is the commission meetings streaming. We've moved to Ustream now, which allows the general public to view the commission meetings through any type of browser, not just the Internet Explorer. They can use a series of mobile phones and apps. So that kind of gives us a little, visibility in terms of, exposure. Also, I'm not sure many of you know, but basically most of our offerings are powered by RecTrack. RecTrack is the recreational software that we use for practically everything. And we sort of switched our focus to providing more training. We've conducted 26 of those trainings in the last month because we believe that we're trying to shift our focus such that there are gurus in the field in the individual departments rather than relying on IT. IT is currently a staff of 2.5 people now, and although we do work hard, we think that to serve the public, it's best if some of that information is contained within the individual departments. So we have a pretty robust training operation underway. Password security, working in conjunction with the golf department and the finance department, we've pushed out a number of password change requirements. So we're sort of developing and forcing, complex passwords, recycling and all that stuff. So let's see. The other important thing, which is pretty big, is how we handle internal technical requests. We have implemented and deployed a help desk. The help desk allows BREC employees to communicate with us via a series of methods, whether it's SMS messaging, mobile cell phones, fax, email. The benefit of this is that their concerns are addressed immediately. They're issued a ticket, and it's prioritized based on the systems that's down and the amount of time it's going to take to get things back up and operational. So we've got a great deal of success with that program. It allows us to sort of track where our deficiencies lie in terms of staffing and training. It allows us to sort of predict where our faults lie in terms of hardware and software. Since implementing it back in, I think it was September 26th, we're currently up to 293 tickets. That's what it is currently today, and we've processed all of those. So we're doing a tremendous amount of work, and the ticketing process kind of democratizes that whole thing and allows us to efficiently plan and implement deployments quicker. The AbroWorks suite, this is the solution that our staff uses to access things like pay stubs, change personal information. It allows them to do these things on their own without having to come into HR or fill out any forms. Historically, it's been a bit slow. It was built on a slower back end, so we've recently rebuilt that so that it's much more quicker. We're hoping to do open enrollment via this system. I believe November 6th we're going to start opening that up. And the final thing is that we are currently evaluating the SharePoint intranet software. Currently, we share documents in typical Windows shares, network shares. That leaves a lot to be desired in terms of security, robustness, and things like that. So the SharePoint platform will allow us to sort of communicate better amongst our individual departments. It'll allow the individual content makers to be the controllers of the permissions, because that's a big thing. IT has been heavily involved in implementing those permissions, removing those permissions, and sometimes there is a lag period in reporting those things. So the shift to SharePoint allows us to not only share information better, but for it to be more accountable and for the content creator to sort of control, who sees what, who does what with it. So that's sort of where we are now in our department.
So, Mr. Knight, with the new technology, we'll be able to see Mr. Selder's T-shirt very clear on the video. Got it? You got it. Thank you.
Yeah, as you see, we currently have a little inexpensive 4-camera setup, so it's going to be pretty nice. You'll be able to check this out. So, all right.
Thank you.
And at the committee meeting, we also gave our committee members an update on Pitch Week. We had 40 outlets who came. 22 of them were print, 8 TV, 4 radio, and 6 others. They're direct mail or coupon groups. And they all had ideas about ways we can market our different departments. And some had ideas for partnerships. So we're currently working through that. We talked about some of the big events that are coming up. We got a lot before the end of the year. Convention Street Park has had a soft opening. We're working with Baton Rouge Walls. So once we know how that's going to work out, we'll do a groundbreak or a ribbon cutting. Kaboom Mill Day is going to be a big it's going to be so exciting. It's at Flannery Road Park. You have all been sent an invitation, but I'm going to resend that just to make sure that we get RSVPs, because we do want to make sure that you're recognized if you come out. The big time to be there, I'm told, is between 11 and 1. That's when the big playground equipment will be moved in. But where we'd like to see you is at the closing ceremony or the opening ceremony. That's when there'll be speakers, and we can have you say a few words and recognize that you're there. And we're working on a groundbreaking for something that I think Baton Rouge will be really excited about. It's the Wards Creek Trail Project, that first phase. That's going to be in early December. And we gave an update on the Central Sportplex, which should have a lot of progress next year. And the final thing is for our next meeting, we should have a rough draft for you on our marketing plan. So we'll have a committee meeting on the 8th. We'll present that rough draft, and then we'll present it to you as a commission. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the report of communications.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the Finance Committee. Mr. Sam.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. We have several items that need action tonight. We'll start with item A, financial statements. Ms. Savoy.
Yes, sir. We will begin with the general fund on page 3. Special revenues are at 4.8 million. Self-generating revenues are at 7.7, for a total revenue receipt of 12.5 million in the general fund through September. Expenditures are on pages 3 and 4. Total self-generating expenditures are 13 million. Total other expenditures are 15.4, for total expenditures to date of 28.5, with a $15.9 million deficit reporting. I'm happy to say we did get our property tax numbers from the tax assessor's office. There's an overall growth in Baton Rouge assessments of 5%. We'll see a little over 2% of that, and we'll be booking that this month for you to see. The next page I'll go to is page 6, and these I'll just skip through, and if any of you have any questions, because these are pretty repetitive every single month, I'll be happy to address those and answer them for you. Page 6 is our enhancement operating fund. Page 7 is our employee benefits fund, and there's, I'd just like to say right now we're running about a $500,000 surplus in this fund, and this is our health insurance and other employee benefit fund. Risk management fund, this is the self-insurance program fund. Page 9 is the print shop. This is a quarterly report, so there'll be a couple of more reports in here for you. The unemployment fund is on page 10. Debt service is on 11. 12 through pages 13 are your capital improvement project fund, and these are all the various projects that you've let the contracts on. Page 16 and 17 are the enhancement construction fund. Page 18 is the balance sheet on all of our funds. The combined balance sheet for each of the individual funds is there. On page 19 was the original adopted budget versus its current amended budget based on grants or changes that have been made throughout the fiscal year. And that's the entire financial report for September.
Do we have a motion to approve the financial statements?
Mr. Freeman makes a motion. Mr. Osbury seconds. Any opposed? Seeing none, financial passes.
We'll move to item B, contracts and bids.
Under contracts and bids, we have the item to award to Bliss Products for the annual wood fiber bid. The other item that's up there is to approve the award of the Cedar Ridge Neighborhood Park improvements to award to Corp Construction and the amount of $165,003.
I think just point of clarification, the Bliss Products was on the consent, so we don't have to worry.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Mr. Sam, you want to make it?
Yeah.
Mr. Freeman seconds. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes.
We have several items under other business. Ms. Savoy, you want to go through those?
Yes, sir.
There's 3 of them, Mr. Sam. You want to take them together?
Yeah, we can take them all together if everyone approves. We can take them all together.
The first item on up for consideration is, several years ago, BREC committed $3 million to the to the Knock Knock project. It was tied to the Merrill Lynch account that we currently have, which is predominantly Exxon stock. The fluctuation in at the time that the $3 million commitment was made, there was $3 million plus in the account. It has been as low as 2.3. The other day, it was at $2,980,000. So we were almost bumping the $3 million commitment that we've made again. What we'd like permission to be able to do is, as all of you know, the market is very volatile, and if you don't pull the trigger on a sale right when it's advantageous for you to do so, we'd like to be able to monitor that, and if it does get advantageous for BREC to be able to sell that stock, to sell it and put it in certificates of deposit and hold the money until the construction on Knock Knock begins. And to limit any funding will have to come out of with the construction funds, because any difference between our commitment of $3 million and what the fund has, we have to come out of the construction funds with that.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
We're discussing taking all three of them
We're gonna
together.
take all three. I got a question real
Okay.
quick. Question.
I think we need to do one at a time.
Let's pull this one off then, since there's some discussion.
No,
We'll do this.
it's a quick question.
Okay.
Are they still raising money for the other portion of it to be built? Do we have any idea how long it's going to take? Do we have any idea when construction would begin?
On the Knock Knock project?
Because in the financial statements, I always see the line item in there for it, and there's never any money in it. And I knew we had money somewhere. I just didn't know what the time frame on that
I
was.
can give you somewhat of an update, Mr. Guillory. The process right now, we're just finishing up the design development phase. And at the end of the design development phase, the designers are putting together what they call a cell package that shows what the facility would look like, how much the estimated cost of it would be. And with that material, they will then start approaching some more of the community for donations and begin another phase of fundraising. So they're right on the cusp of beginning that next phase.
And what do we think it's going to cost? I mean, what's our goal for fundraising?
The construction cost is about $5.25 to $5.5 is
So
where
we
we're
put up
shooting.
3 and
And basically, they'll be putting up 3, because then you have design costs and so forth on top of that.
that's all. That's all.
All right, we'll move to item 3.
The next item is, it's to help with some timing because the commission only meets once a month. Typically, the way that BREC had operated in the past is that before the purchase of any capital outlay item of $25,000, it went before the Finance Committee and then the Commission. All these items typically are being bought off of state contracts, so they have all been properly bid. You've appropriated the money for the capital outlay in the operating budget and approved that money for capital outlay purchases. What we propose is that, like right now, some money's just been released to do some purchases, and we have to have these items in by December 31st in order to be able to bill them against this current fiscal year. This would just free it up and allow us to report to you on a reportable basis through the Finance Committee, anything $25,000 or more, instead of getting your pre-approval on it.
All right, good. Any questions?
I move.
We'll take item 4 and then one more item.
The last item is to allow us to move forward in our workers' compensation program and our risk management fund to settle cases. As you know, not too long ago, you gave us permission in small claims to settle cases up to a certain dollar value. You know, if you strike when the iron is hot, a lot of times you can get these cases settled, and instead of them dragging out for a very prolonged period of time and increasing our overall costs. So we're asking for permission for the Risk Management Committee and the Superintendent to be able to settle these claims for $25,000 or less.
Any questions? Mr. Chairman, we'd like to take these items all together.
Okay, Mr. Sam, is that a motion? Ms. Jackson? Second, Mr. Selders. Any opposed? Seeing none, all 3 will pass. Mr. Sam, is that it?
That's it. That ends the report for.
Thank you. We'll move on to golf. Mr. Taylor.
Ken, you got it.
Thank you. Item number one for golf that needs, well, it's actually the only item that needs action tonight. As a result of the audit a couple of months ago, there were some internal controls and procedures that we needed to tighten up in the golf department as it pertains to gift card sales and tournament summarizing. So what we have is we've put together a tournament summary form that will allow us to track all gift card prize sales for every BREC golf tournament that we host, as well as any outside event that we host that purchases gift cards from us. So we've worked with the IT department and the finance department to develop this summary form and to tighten up how we receive our gift cards. Now we will check them out through our finance department so we know how many gift cards have been given to each golf course, the serial number sequences of those gift cards. So we'll be able to track how many were given out, for what amounts, as well as who won those in the golf tournaments that we've hosted. So as Stephen mentioned, we've also tightened up the password and login ID procedures that we have on our point of sale system. So that's just an additional way for us to make sure that one person is working on that system at a time, and when they leave that terminal during the day at shift change, they will log out, and the next clerk will log in and count out that drawer and make sure that our financial policies and procedures are followed to the letter. So that's the item that needs action this evening.
I have a question, I guess. What did the audit find?
There were some permissions on our point of sale system that shouldn't have been there. There were some permissions opened up to part-time pro shop clerks that we were unaware of, and now those were closed immediately as soon as they were found. So it's only full-time golf course managers that have permission to sell a gift card against tournament revenue.
We were also cited for giving discounts to different groups for tournaments, and that was one of the things that they told us, that we are not to give discounts. You cannot give away public assets, and we are tightening up all of our internal control procedures in every area.
And our committee met at Dumas at Waterford Theater, and it's a good place to have a committee meeting. In case y'all want to take y'all's committee there sometime, we'll let you join the Dumas fund. Thank you, Ken.
But I'm really excited that we have fresh eyes on our financial controls. We pay attention to what those fresh eyes are advising us to do, and then we're being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. That's exactly what I'm glad.
Great comment.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Yes, sir. Mr. Taylor? Motion?
Motion we adopt.
Mr. Freeman seconds. Any opposed? Seeing none, it's adopted.
Thank you. And the only other items we had on there were information items, our key performance indicator report and the PGA player development report, which were presented to the committee. And Ms. McKnight asked for committee feedback and any comments that they have to come in, through the golf office so we can take them into account also.
Our hope is to have that information available at our next golf committee meeting, and to brief the advantages and disadvantages of the 3 different options they suggested in the report, and also maybe look at 2 or 3 other possibilities, so that we can make sure that we have the best practices in place here at BREC to help develop more players at all golf courses, and to do everything we can to see better maintenance at all golf courses. So we're trying everything we can before we start talking about turning the keys and locking the doors, so that you know.
So the commissioners will know, we've got 22 golf courses in a 5-parish area, and all but one are having lack of play. There's one that's still in good financial shape. It's a Baton Rouge Country Club here in town. Been around a long time, but we're very competitive with our prices and our play. We got as good a courses as anybody's got, but we don't know what the population in the 5-parish area is and how many golfers are in the 5-parish area. So as one of those things we're gonna be looking at, and, I'm real pleased with the golf courses we've got. We may have too many, and we'll face that when we come to it.
Well, I attended a session at the National Recreation and Parks Association conference conducted by the National Golf Foundation, and they were saying that when you should have one golf course for every 35,000 people. And I have been in communication with that gentleman to see if I could get him here to help me conduct that review as well. So we will look at everything from how many we should have, what should we provide, how many people we aim to attract, do we have the correct staffing levels to make sure that we can provide the type of service that the people here in Baton Rouge Parish deserve. So everything is on the table, and we will continue to take a look at what we're doing.
One other comment, of all the BREC facilities, golf is what appeals to men. You have more men participating in BREC golf than anything else BREC has to offer. And the older gentlemen, and I fall in that category, are involved in that. And that's one of those considerations we must have on all 7 of our courses. We're going to take all that into consideration. Thank you, Ken.
I got a what about alcohol sales? I know it's come up before.
Yes. Yes, that is a huge recommendation as part of the study. They said that if you don't do alcohol to help with your tournaments and your events, you will continue to lose revenue. So we certainly will pursue making certain that we get approval to allow for it. Hopefully, and we'll see what happens, but it is so critical in every report. And I can't tell you the number of comments that I receive throughout each week about allowing for that type of thing.
I mean, people drive pretty far up north to play in golf tournaments because you can, drink at some of those private courses, and so we can take a look at that.
Will do.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
Thank you,
Mr.
Ken.
Taylor? Good, Mr. Taylor, thank you. Okay, next up is Human Resources, Ms. Jackson.
Okay, Ms. Stephanie.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. The item on the agenda
Number C, we on number C.
number C, to approve is seeking the Commission approval for the 2013 Employee and Retiree Health Insurance Benefit Package, which is self-funded by BREC and administered by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana. There is no increase in employee premiums and no change in benefit schedules as are attached. The said package includes both HMO and the PPO coverage, which is now provided to employees with a third benefit option as a qualified health dependent plan, our health savings account. BREC Commission is to pay 85% of the employee HMO and SHA as a preferred premium and 60% of the dependent cost for employees who participate in the BREC Wellness Program. This amount will be applied to the PPO plan if the employee wishes to upgrade. The proposed 2013 schedule benefits and premium comparison tables are attached. The non-participants of the Employee Wellness Program will be subject to a premium increase of $10 additional per pay period, or $260 annually.
Any questions? Any comments?
I'm just in a talkative mood today. I apologize. Ms. Trim said it very well, very quickly. I wanted to say it more slowly. There's no increase for employees for their retirement package, for their health package this year. And so it was not an easy job. And I know that she, squeezed a lot to try to make sure that we can do this. I'm really excited about the wellness program as well. I think that we are going to be able to save money on our health program by making sure that employees stay well throughout the year. And so, kudos to to everybody that was involved in trying to make sure that we know that it's a tough year for raises. And so they work really hard to make sure that we can keep costs down for insurance, and so I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, I move we accept this.
Ms. Jackson makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Taylor seconds. Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes.
Okay, the next one is E.
Okay. We're asking Commission approval to approve the proposed retiree supplemental pay for 2013. And this is benefit provided to retirees who, way back when, who had a small pension that they received. So BREC provides a supplemental pay to these retirees that are in that program. They receive 3 checks on a quarterly basis.
So move.
Mr. Sam moves. Mr. Osberry seconds. Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes.
I think that's the end.
Up again.
That's the end. That's the end. of that
Thank you, Mr. Trim.
I have selection of professionals.
Okay, let's go through selection of professionals. I'm sorry, Ms. Jackson.
I'm sorry.
While Ms. Trim's still up here.
Yeah, okay, she wanna stay, that's fine. Okay, go ahead and do selection of profession.
Okay. Next item, we're seeking approval, commission approval. We would like to recommend the hiring of Waters Consulting Group to conduct our compensation and benefits study as outlined in the request for proposal for a fee not to exceed $59,400. Our last comp study was conducted in 2004. When this proposal was sent out, we had actually 4 companies who did submit a proposal. And as the evaluation team, Ted Jack, Dale Auzenne, Phil Frost, the superintendent, and myself reviewed the proposals submitted. We also had an opportunity to do a conference with those individuals, and we unanimously agreed to go with the Waters Consulting Group. We will come back to the committee after with a final report and a presentation.
Any comments? Okay, I move we accept this.
Ms. Jackson moves. Mr. Freeman seconds. Any opposed? The Waters Group is hired.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have Ted to come up and talk about the strategic plan.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. This is just a information item about the strategic plan. We are working towards hiring a consultant eventually for that. There are about 12 tasks that we'll be working on, kind of the bread and butter type stuff that you do on a strategic plan. We do plan to come back to you, though, in the future pretty soon, probably in January, with a team, hopefully, that we have put together to work on the strategic plan.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Ted. That's the end of our report.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Okay, there's no special orders up this month, so we'll move on to unfinished business. The first will be a resolution which was introduced at the September Commission meeting. First thing I want to do is we want to hold a public hearing and adopt a supplemental bond resolution, amending and supplementing the general bond resolution adopted by the Board of Commissioners of the Recreation and Park Commission for the Parish of East Baton Rouge on February 22nd, 2005, and authorizing and providing for issuance of the limited ad valorem tax revenue bond, Series 2012B, of the Recreation and Park Commission for the Parish of East Baton Rouge for the purpose of providing funds to purchase, acquire, construct, develop, improve, operate, and maintain public parks, playgrounds, and recreational properties and facilities to the issuer within the Parish of East Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and acquire the necessary furnishings, machinery, and equipment thereof, secured and payable in the form of ad valorem tax approved by the voters of the Parish of East Baton Rouge, Louisiana on November 2nd, 2004. Providing for the sale of Series 2012B bonds, prescribing the form, fixing the details, and providing for the payment of principal and interest of the Series 2012B bonds, and for the rights and registered owners thereof, and providing for any other matters in connection therewithin. The public hearing is open. Is there anyone who would like to speak? The public hearing is then closed. I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt the resolution, and we will do this by roll call vote.
I move the adoption.
Ms. Jackson moves. Mr. Freeman seconds. Ms. Marchafava?
Mr. Osberry?
Yes.
Mr. Benson's absent. Mr. Freeman? Yes. Mr. Guillory?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Richey?
Yes.
Mr. Sam?
Yes.
Mr. Selders?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, 8-0, unanimous.
Okay, it passes. New business.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
to kind of follow up on what Mr. Ted Jackson presented a while ago, I'd like to suggest to the commission that we consider forming an information study committee 3 members of the commission, plus the superintendent, plus Sheila, and plus Ted, to look at all of our sites and see the obsolete sites, or the sites that's not getting much use, or the sites that we might need some attention to, and report back to the commission along with the planning. And I'd like to get this done, I'd like to get this done the first quarter of next year. So it will tie to what the overall plans are. And we got some sites that are not being used at all. We need some legal help on how can we change or do something with some of our facilities. But I'd like to see the commission get involved with the study on this so we can come back and make some decision the first quarter of next year.
I think that's a good idea. I thought we had talked a month or so ago. Weren't we already doing something similar to that, or somebody? I remember us.
We
talking
have a
about that
list.
and getting
Ted
rid of
has
some.
already
Yeah,
put a list together.
We went through the planning committee with a list of about 20 facilities that we are looking at right now to consider for whether or not they would be considered obsolete. And we've also, demolished several buildings in the system, so we have been doing some of this. And if y'all would like, I could kind of put a report together for that for the next meeting.
That's from the planning and, that's from what committee that? Tell them what committee, so maybe you want to visit.
Yeah, that's the Planning and Operations Conservation Committee.
We'll share a copy of that information with you that we shared with the committee. And if we need to get together and have another committee review the information, we certainly would be happy to do that.
How many commissioners are involved?
I think there were 3 on the committee.
On there now? Then okay, they will do the same thing that I was just suggesting then.
Absolutely.
But you got some kind of deadline on when you're going to come back and say we're going to do this with that?
We have not placed a deadline. Each of the properties that we have to look at are fairly time-consuming to study. So we did not put a timeline on when we're going to have it done by.
Okay.
But any commission can attend any meetings, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if there's a meeting someone will attend, they can attend any committee meeting. It's not just for the commissioners on that committee meeting. So if anybody got the time, we'd be happy to have you.
I'd just like to see us have some pretty prompt action, if we can, the first quarter, because our timetable's moving pretty fast. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Sam?
So, Mr. Superintendent, I would just suggest that maybe next commission meeting, or at least maybe by the December commission meeting, we could give Mr. Taylor just an update.
We can do that.
Maybe by the December meeting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, good, Mr. Taylor?
Yeah.
All right. I was in my mojo, so let me get back in the zone here. The second thing we need to do in new business, need to set a public hearing date. I need a motion to introduce an ordinance authorizing the borrowing of the Recreation and Park Commission for the Parish of East Baton Rouge of not to exceed $7 million, providing for payment thereof, establishing the rate of interest thereon, providing for a pledge of revenues to the Recreation and Park Commission for the Parish of East Baton Rouge for the security and payment thereof in principal and interest, and providing for other matters in connection therewithin. I need to set a public hearing for the regular commission meeting at 5 p.m. on November 14th, 2012 at BREC's Administrative Office in Womack Park, 6201 Florida Boulevard, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Can I get that motion? Mr. Freeman. Mr. Guillory seconds. Any opposed? Motion passes. Public hearing date is set. Last on the agenda is a consent to consider. I'll go ahead and read this out. Be it resolved that the commission have no objection to the changing of the name of GSRI Avenue, which borders Burbank Conservation Area, to Innovation Park Drive, as requested by LSU Louisiana Business and Technology Center. Is there anyone opposed to that change? We need a consent. I'm sorry. We need a consent to add this to the agenda first. Mr. Freeman, Mr. Sam moves, Mr. Freeman seconds, we can add it. Let me ask, is there any opposition? There is none, it seems unanimous. Okay, I do need to take a motion on the item itself. Ms. Jackson moves, Mr. Freeman seconds. We're very technical here, this is good. Seeing no opposition, it has the BREC blessing. Mr. Taylor, you have one more item?
Move to adjourn.
Beautiful, thank you. We are adjourned.
Yeah, I don't know.